After 7 years in League One, last night Portsmouth secured promotion back to the Championship for the first time in 12 years. Let's sit down and chat about what a season it's been. So normally we come on here after the game, we chat about the details within the football match, but Portsmouth, they deserve something special. We're going to sit down and dissect their season and talk about the key points, the biggest points, and the reason why they'll be playing Championship football next season, and the reason why they're League One champions for this 2023-24 season, which I'm sure probably still hasn't quite sunk in yet. Now, the first point, and we've been banging on about it all year, is mentality. And the definition of mentality. Let's start with the definition. It's the characteristic way of thinking of a person or a group. And when you think of that group, you think of a strong-minded mentality. The strongest of minded mentalities. They have been exceptional from the first kick until, of course, the final kick last night, and I'm hoping for Oxford's sake maybe a few more kicks against some playoff rivals in the coming weeks. But they have been phenomenal, and we've used the word mentality, and sometimes that can be a buzzword in football, and we can come back to that and we can just say a word that we don't quite explore or delve into. But I thought that game last night epitomised everything about that group, about that football club, and I smiled. I saw the outcome and I saw how they did it, and I thought, that is just what they're all about. If you could create a way that Portsmouth would become champions and add all of the ingredients of this season, you'd create that game. It had everything. Last minute goals. Connor Shocklessy, who has scored some very important goals this season, often quite late in games too. The ability to fight back, deal with obstacles, and we're going to come back to that later. They've dealt with so many obstacles across the season. It's a mentality like no other. And it's one that you cannot associate with any other team in this league. And if you do associate a strong mentality, it's definitely not at the level of this John Mousinho side. And I speak about obstacles. That's injuries. That's details within football matches. Their recruitment at times has been exceptional, but they've been forced to make those decisions because of obstacles that they've, in the end, overcome incredibly. And we've also thrown around a phrase that I think even I'm getting a little bit sick of, but I'm going to use it again because it is just a phrase that sums up this Portsmouth team, and that's finding a way. It's finding a way to win, and sometimes it's not finding a way to win, it's actually just finding a way, whether that be a really important draw at Bolton Wanderers, a really important goal at a key moment within a game, or maybe it is a win. And last night it was about finding a way to win. It's a sign of a team that deserves success. And if you can become mentality monsters, which they have been, then you've got all of the chance of being successful. And this Pompey team are beyond successful. It's a beautiful sense of belief. It's a belief that ripples from the fan base, from the staff, from the players. That's the playing staff, non-playing staff, people behind the scenes, the community, the city of Portsmouth too. It's a beautiful sense of belief, and it all stems from one man, and it's a man that I adore. I absolutely adore him, John Mousinho. I couldn't be happier for that man. I honestly couldn't. And I don't think that's because of his previous connections with Oxford United. It might be partly, subconsciously, a reason for it, but I don't think it's largely or solely that. I think it's because I love what he's about. I love his footballing ideas, his principles, his philosophies that we've spoken about time and time again on this podcast across the season. We've spoken about the football side of things, and we have sort of dabbled into what he's like as a human being. And that's massive, of course. It's a huge reason why they've been so good, because beyond his remarkable footballing brain, he's created a culture. He's created an attitude, and actually written down here, a religion. Obviously, I mean footballing religion. I crossed it out, but I'm going to say it anyway. It is a religion, and it's a bond that's so strong. It's a connection that is so strong, one that you cannot associate with any other team, I'd say at times in the footballing league, and this season in English football, and definitely not in Sky Bet League One. It is a religion. It's a footballing religion. It's an attitude, and it's a culture. And when John Mousinho came in, they needed a culture change. They needed somebody to change the way that people thought about Portsmouth. And this season, that's what they've done. They've lost 4 games. They've won 27 games out of 44 so far. 94 points they've accumulated. And that doesn't just come from, scoring late, winning games, being good at football. It comes from creating a culture from within. It comes from a culture that you do and you believe in on the training ground and on the football pitch. And even as a fan, when you walk through the turnstile, it's a culture, it's an attitude, and it's a never say die attitude. It's a total belief and trust. And that's what he's created. And not many managers can create that. We only speak about them because they have been successful. But there are so many managers that have not ever, in their time as a manager, been able to create that type of culture. And he's done it in his first full season as a professional manager, which I think is also absolutely incredible. I think he did his pro license in 2022. We're in 2024, he's the manager of a League One winning side. It is... I'm running out of superlatives. It's beyond impressive. I want to speak about a triangle. And you're probably thinking, Jack, we're not in maths. We're here to talk about Portsmouth and their quite phenomenal season. A triangle that has three sides, which I think is all of them. That makes a triangle. A manager, pointer, a fan's point, and a player's point. And of course, the lines between them that make the triangle have to be the bonds in this analogy. And they have to be strong. It's a basic point, and it's one that I think often is overlooked, but I think it's totally crucial. It's totally crucial. The manager at the top, it could be the players, probably is the fans, but either way, let's look past that. Manager, fans and players. The stronger that bond, the higher chance of success. And I don't think any club in this division, and like I said, I think probably in the footballing pyramid this campaign, have had a stronger triangle consistently across the 44 odd games that we've seen teams play. And that is, again, a credit in itself. The manager, the players and the fans have been together and bonded so strongly from the start of the season until the end. And I come back to that beautiful sense of belief and that trust within every aspect of that relationship, because it is a relationship. The manager and the fans have to have a relationship. The fans and the manager, the fans and the players and the manager, of course, they all intertwine. They all have their own importance. And it is a relationship. And there has to be a trust. If that bond isn't strong enough, or there's one missing in some cases, or it's missing for a period of time, and then it comes back, it's about consistency. And if that bond isn't strong enough, or that bond isn't there, targets become unachievable. You all have to be looking and moving in the same direction. And for 44 games, and realistically since John Mousinho stepped through the door, everybody has been looking in that same direction. That's the fans, that's the players, and of course, that's John Mousinho. We mentioned consistency a few moments ago, and as well as being mentality monsters, they've been monsters of consistency. I made a remark a few weeks ago when Oxford visited Fratton Park and lost that game 2-1. I said I wasn't blown away by their performance, and what I meant by that was I didn't think at times they were the better team. I don't think they played some of the best football, but I also said chance conversion and using those split-second moments to their advantage every time, using the fine margins, using the details. There's no better team at doing that. No team has been better at using the fine margins and the details at the right time. They've got everything to perfection. We often speak about what it takes to accomplish the big rewards in League One, and probably most leagues in the world of football, but especially League One. I think more than ever, it's really important that a team has consistency, and we always come back to that word when we talk about success at this level. It's consistency. It's about making sure that you approach every game as a game and not as a block, not as 5 games, not looking too far ahead, not reflecting too much on what's happened, talking about building momentum. And in fact, the definition of consistency is it helps us build momentum, develop good habits, and stay focused on our objectives. And that's what Pompey have done. They've built momentum, they've created wonderful habits, and they've stayed focused on their objectives. And last night they achieved their ultimate objective. And I think it's wonderful that sometimes we look past definitions and it's quite academic, but I think it's really important. Sometimes we strip back to the basics. We look past how many passes they make in a game, how many chances they create, how much possession they have, how many carries into the box certain players have. Look beyond that. Look, almost strip that back if you want, and look at the ingredients that goes into a successful team. And there's a reason why Pompey won this division with 2 games to go and finished on at least 94 points, because they have all of those. And if you treated that definition as a checklist, Pompey would tick all of the boxes. If you read further into that definition, it speaks about by consistently taking small steps towards our goals, we increase our chances of success. And Portsmouth have looked at every game in isolation. They haven't looked at blocks. They haven't looked at previous games. It's about taking every game as the final game of the season. And it sounds really cliche. We sort of talk about 5 cup finals to go, 3 cup finals, treat it like a cup final, 6 pointers. Footballing cliches, but what they have done is taken every game in isolation. They've gone, right, we win this game, and then we put all of our energy in the next game. Because by doing that, you're putting 100% energy in that fixture, in that moment, and then you worry about the consequences or the repercussions or the success that eventually does come whenever it does arrive. And that's what's been so impressive. They've been able to sort of look past the future and the past and look at the present at all times. And like I said, it comes back to taking games in isolation. And I think in previous years, Pompey have done this thing where they speak about, and it does come from the fans, and we're all culprits of it. We speak about, if we win this game, if that team loses that game, if we pick up X amount of points against X amount of teams, we can finish in X. They haven't done that. At no point have Pompey done that. Maybe in the final few games of the season where promotion is in touching distance. But really, that's never happened. It's been about, right, we win this game and then we go maybe this many points clear. But that isn't spoken about until that game's finished and they've picked up those 3 points. Or they've picked up that really important point away or potentially sometimes at home. And every game is a small step towards the end goal. Pompey are not crowned champions last night if they don't beat Leyton Orient in August. That's the first step of what has been a remarkable staircase, if you like, if we're going to continue with that analogy. We've also said in recent weeks, and it comes back to Saturday, if you don't win, make sure you don't lose. And at times, that's what they've been so good at. Defensively, they've been exceptional. Going forward, they've done the right things at the right time. And they have created multiple, in fact 44, maybe take away the 4 defeats, 40, let's say, small steps towards ultimate consistency. And we speak about success and what it takes to be successful. One of the biggest ingredients is consistency. And maybe they haven't been the best team on the eye in every single game. Saying that, I don't think any other team can also put their name forward for that either. It would be virtually impossible. But what they have done that no other team has been able to do is be incredibly difficult to beat and of course be fantastically consistent. The next point I want to make is the balance of the squad. They've got the perfect balance. We speak about what it takes to build a successful team, leadership, hunger, and I was thinking of a better phrase, but I've gone with this: players who get it. Players who just get it. And huge credit to Richard Hughes as well, somebody who deserves great credit, giving Mousinho this opportunity in the first place and then playing a huge role in the recruitment and building this perfectly balanced team. I think what Richard Hughes did was take a bit of a punt, take a bit of a risk with Mousinho. They clearly weighed them up and felt as if he could do it, and they got that spot on, leaving as Oxford's set-piece coach and club captain, a player that had actually made League One appearances in the same season. He was making his managerial debut at one of the biggest clubs, if not the biggest club in this league. Did we think it was going to be this quick? Did we think he was going to succeed this quick? I don't think so. I don't think we thought his first job was going to be Portsmouth, but he proves us wrong there. And I'm one of the fans that I'm happy that he's proved us wrong. I think we all thought he was extremely intelligent and the way he spoke to do what he's done and to implement that culture and implement that. I mean, he's just loved. He's a loved figure, and so he should be. To do that in a short amount of time in his first job is just another huge reason why we're so proud of him, and everybody should be so proud of him. But we talk about building a perfect team. Leadership is important, hunger, and that's leadership through performance, through results, through experience. They've got that in abundance. Hunger, players who've got a point to prove, and they've built a team as well with a lot of players that aren't just coming down for a payday or coming down for game time. This is a group of players that are desperate to be good, desperate to make an impact, desperate to make history. It sounds quite cheesy, but it's true. Now we can say that. It's players that want to make a difference, players that want to be remembered. Abu Kamara, his first professional loan, is a great example. He came to Pompey not because it was a good opportunity, or not just because it was a good opportunity for a first loan move, but because he wanted to be the difference. He wanted to be an extremely successful footballer. And of course they all do, deep down, probably, you'd like to think so. But he's come here and he's not just eased himself in. He's not just come here and made some appearances there and almost built up that pedigree of a young footballer. He's come here and he's made an exceptional impact. He's come to Pompey and made an exceptional difference, and he is one of the best footballers I've seen in League One for a very long time, and that is just brilliant, absolutely brilliant and pivotal. Paddy Lane to a certain extent too. From Fleetwood to Pompey, that wasn't just a move financially, that was a move because they felt as if he was a fantastic footballer who could play the way that John Mousinho wants to play, and he's done that to probably more than what they first and hoped. It's a good example, a very good example. Players like Shaughnessy, a free transfer, released from Burton, or didn't sign a new contract at Burton last season. He's now scoring the winner for Pompey in a game that secures them promotion back to the Championship after a 12-year absence. I mean, that's a pretty strong thing to do. Players like Morello have been there for a very long time and have now got the opportunity, of course, unlucky with the injury in the last part of the season, but still played a huge part. A player there that spoke to Tom and said how desperate he is to get promoted with this football club. You've got players there with hunger, with leadership, and players that understand what it takes to play for Pompey. And every player understands the values and the high expectations. And the reason why we were slightly, I think, critical of Pompey at certain moments within the season, very few moments, was because their expectation was set so high. They'd set this unbelievable high level of expectation that when they fell just a little bit short of that, it was a surprise, and we were sort of dissecting it and sort of thinking, right, why has that happened? It's because they've set those expectations to an unbelievable level, and it's impossible actually to always reach those levels, but Pompey have given that impossible job a very, very good go, and some would say they've made something that is impossible very possible, because they have pretty much throughout the entire season been just perfection. And finally, a spirited fan base, and we've spoken about the key people, the key ingredients, the footballing side through the season, the mental side today. But it's the fan base that deserve this. It's the fan base that have been supporting this football club through thick and thin. A fan base that have seen some very dark times. And last night, they probably experienced the best night of their life. Their footballing life, possibly. Or maybe just in their life in general. It looked that good, and they deserve to party and celebrate in that manner because they've waited a long time for this. And I'm actually an advocate for... I get a little bit frustrated when people sort of say we deserve to go up, look at the size of our club, look at the history we've got, and of course there is a bit of that, but for me you have to earn it. You have to earn the right to get promoted. Names don't get you promoted. History doesn't get you promoted. But what does get you promoted is a spirited fan base that have been through those good and bad times, that are ready to lift a football club back to where they feel it belongs. I don't think you belong anywhere until you achieve what it takes to get back there. Of course, they've been through times that is out of their control, not just performance on the pitch, relegations that have been forced upon them, restrictions financially that have caused them problems in previous years. I'm not talking about that, but I'm talking about clubs, and Pompey sometimes have done that, where you sort of just go, right, we should be there because of this. Pompey should be in the Championship because of how good they've been. And they've been very, very good. Like I said, almost perfection. Extremely good. Let's try and find some more synonyms for the word good. And how many points have they accumulated through the backing of their fans? It's title winning. It's title winning. It's accumulating points through supporters, and there's this 12th man saying, there's this getting over the line phrase and saying in football, but it's real at Pompey. It honestly is real, and I experienced it firsthand when Oxford went there a couple of weeks ago. They won that game in the end because there was just a noise. There was a noise and a total backing and a trust and belief that we'll sing until our lungs physically cannot sing anymore. Because we know that if we give everything, these players will feed off of that and win us this game. And they won them that game. And that's not just the only time. They've done that countless times. And they had something to buy into. Mousinho, Richard Hughes, the players, everybody associated with that football club internally gave the fans something to buy into. And they bought into it. It took them a while probably to understand that they'd just taken on Oxford set piece coach and club captain as their first team manager. That was an obstacle that they had to overcome within themselves, but they very quickly did that. And then they said, right, we've got something to buy into and we're all in. And when Pompey fans are all in, that's their most dangerous weapon. Pompey fans that believe they can do something is their biggest weapon. Because they know that everybody is going to pull their weight. They know everybody a part of this journey is going to pull their weight. And they've seen it. There's evidence. There's something to believe in. And like I said, their biggest weapon is believing and being totally all in at all times. Congratulations to Pompey. Something a little bit different. I thought we could dissect the game against Barnsley, but realistically, I mean, who cares? Who cares what happened in that game? Of course, it was a wonderful game of football, but it was, and the outcome and the way they did it was phenomenal. But beyond the football, beyond the tactical side of things, we'll return to that at the weekend. Don't worry about that. But today was about Pompey. Today was about what they did and how they've done it. And enjoy it. Bloody enjoy it. Enjoy every second of it. Enjoy every second between now and the end of the season. And bloody beat Lincoln as well, because we're going to need you to. You don't end the season on a bad note, do you? I'm sure you don't. Until next time, I've been Jack. This has been the Jack Ward Football Podcast. Congratulations to Pompey. Please leave a like and subscribe. Some big announcements. Don't just think because you've been promoted you can leave me, okay? It's not that easy to just leave me. Lots of content coming your way still this season, but also next season as well. Stay tuned. I'm not just saying it. There's some really exciting announcements coming your way in the near future relating to sides that might not be in League One next season. Make sure you subscribe. Thank you so much for your support over the season, but don't worry, we're not over yet. It's just one target, one goal that's been achieved, but there's still plenty of things to throw your way. Pompey, congratulations. Enjoy the championship, but don't leave me just yet. And of course, I'll see you very soon. Take care.